Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Hey everybody, it's David D'Arcangelo back with you for another episode of Save As Ability. So today we're going to be talking about competitive integrated employment, CIE. And why are we talking about that? Well, we're talking about that because there's been a shift. So early on in the last century, people with disabilities, the manner with which we being society, government programs, were working to get people with disabilities involved in vocational activities and employment, was a method that at the time was heralded as, this is a great thing, we're putting people in these workshops. But what happened over time is, there was concerns of exploitation there. There was concerns because in the Federal Labor Wage Act, right? Wage Standards Act, basically that's the act that allows for minimum wage, right? There was a provision in there, Section 14C. And Section 14C said that, well, when it comes to these people with disabilities, you can pay them below minimum wages. And there were all these like waivers that were issued out into these nonprofits that then employed these people in large congregate types of settings. And, really like they became these, what was air quotes, sheltered workshops. And so over time, the concern was, well, wait a minute, we're only paying these people 50 cents an hour, but they have good production and that's exploitation and everything else. So over the past 20 years, dozen years, it's really heated up within the past 5 years. There's been a big push to do away with 14C. States have passed laws in the states to say, no, we're not going to have any of these sheltered workshops. And generally that's a good thing. Why? Because we want people with disabilities being compensated appropriately. And, it does raise larger questions of, do you believe in the minimum wage? I'm not getting into that debate here, but just to show you how that's all interrelated. Well, WIOA, the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, put in this definition of what competitive integrated employment is, okay? And the Office of Disability Employment Policy, ODEP, has done a good amount of work on this. And I'm reading right off their site here. Competitive integrated employment is compensated at or above minimum wage, comparable to the customary rate paid by the employer. So that's basically saying there needs to be parity there, which we want for people with disabilities, right? We don't want to exploit people with disabilities. That's terrible. Everybody agrees that, okay? And then another plank of it is that they're receiving the same level of benefits of other employees doing similar work. Okay, we agree there. At a location where the employee interacts with the individuals, and then presented opportunities for advancement. All right, good. So we all agree with that. One of the challenges, though, with this competitive integrated employment model is it really brings into question, well, how competitive is this work? How integrated is this work? And is some of the work really even qualify as an employment? And there's big policy debates on that in the disability community. Again, not for this conversation, but just to bring it to your attention that exists. And so ODEP, the Office of Disability Employment Policy, came up with these initiatives where they're really looking at 10 critical areas to increase competitive integrated employment. And it's all about we've talked about job crafting, and we've talked about, they used to call it job carving, or really being able to put essential job duties in place for a person with a disability that plays to their strengths rather than things they can't do. So if there's 10 duties on a job and a person with a disability can do 8 of them well, but the other 2 are impediments or something, let's try to move those other 2 out and move 2 in that they can do. So that's the thought there, right? And so part of the challenge, though, is how do you do that? And how do you do that so there's parity there? Parity across public employers, private employers, large corporations, small businesses. 99.5% of all businesses in America are small businesses, meaning by the SBA definition of small business, they're 500 employees or fewer, okay? Yet that 0.5% of that, the big business, that accounts for like 40% of the workforce. So that just goes to show you how large, those big businesses are. So how do you make a policy that works for obviously the employee, right, or the prospective employee, but then for small business and for big industry as well? How do you do that? And so we've typically had this like monolithic approach. I'm not a big believer in that. Matter of fact, I'm not a big believer. I think there's too much government intervention, and we could see much. And why do I believe that? Is because look at the results. 2/3 of all working age people with disabilities are not in the labor force. Don't tell me that pulling back regulations and making it easier, that would definitely spur growth for people with disabilities, right? So anyways, not to get too political, basically what we're talking about here, though, is what's been put out by the Office of Disability Employment Policy here, and their employment first policies and, rate reimbursements, and, that kind of looks at benefits a little, and capacity building, interagency coordination. These are all big government kind of interrelated types of situations that don't really work. They haven't worked. The data is there. And so, what can we do to change that? So I do believe in what we were talking about, many of the principles of competitive integrated employment. Yes, we need to get people with disabilities into an integrated setting, right? We want them to compete for jobs and we want them to be employed, right? But we need to rethink that because the current approach has not worked. It's not working. And there's really not much new here with what they've come out with. So, we've got to fix that. We've got to talk to Congress. We've got to get everybody in, because the best laws that are passed, look at the ADA. That was passed and everybody accepted it. Why? Because it was this bipartisan thing that was done by both sides. Everybody agreed, and it ended up being the law of the land that everybody likes and respects. Unlike Obamacare, for example, people, one half of the country didn't want it. And as a result, there's been all these problems all along the way. That isn't the route we want to go. We want to go the ADA route. We can do this. We can improve employment outcomes for people with disabilities. So this is just a little bit of a precursor episode. We're going to be doing a deeper dive here, just like we did with the definition one. So please let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, share, so we can hear from you and keep content flowing for you. So appreciate you. I'm fired up as usual. David D'Arcangelo, Save Visibility. I hope you have a great day. For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.